map so you can see where I'm pointing? Okay. Well, that standard reads, understands the properties and uses of different parts of the electromagnetic spectrum, understands the concept of wave intensity, and also understands the properties of different types of radiation. So we're going to talk about today waves, obviously, and we're also going to talk about the 7 different types of radiation that come in the form of waves. Okay? So does everybody understand what it is we're going to know? Those 3 things. Okay? And how we're going to know them is by understanding. Okay? Which is like if we want to talk about the taxonomy, you're not going to just memorize it. You're going to understand how they're all related and how they're used and things like that. Okay? And this is just to get you guys the basic information, which I'm hoping is not super new to all of you. Okay? So hopefully we won't have to spend a lot of time. Now, because it's our first lecture, I'll make a note of, I'll just talk to you guys a little bit about whether or not you want to write down the things I'm saying or the things that you see. Something I'll tell you for sure with that is that this doesn't really go anywhere. These slides, I can make them available to you. I can make just the slides available to you. I can send you a PowerPoint or a Keynote or whatever, probably a Keynote because there's the iPads. But I can just send that to you and you can have those, okay, and print them out or just hang on to them digitally. But all this stuff that's written down here, not really that important to write down because you can always get a hold of it, right? You might want to make, for today, because you don't have the slides, you're going to want to make little notes like longitudinal waves go back and forth, okay? But for the most part, it's important to write things that I say down, okay? Because I'm adding to what I think is important here that you're not necessarily going to hear again, okay? So for this one, longitudinal waves go back and forth. They're considered P waves. P stands for primary, okay? Energy travels particle to particle, okay? Handy dandy slinky. It's like this.
Yay, Slinky.
You say slinky, slinky. Everybody loves a slinky. Okay? Like this. Okay? A little bit like that too. Okay? Longitudinal, back and forth. Okay, you can kind of see it like that. It squishes. It's like a sound wave. Squishes, it pushes the air. Second type of wave, transverse. This kind. Okay? Up and down. Okay? They're considered S waves, also known as secondary, because they travel slower. Okay? Light is a transverse wave. Okay? Still the same as the last type of wave. Energy goes particle to particle. Okay? So I'll do it some more. Up and down. Transverse. Because they are transversing the center of the wave. Okay? Longitudinal, they're going down the length of the wave. Okay? Transverse. Transverse. Little ones. It's really hard to do with just one person. Anybody want to stand up here and hold it? Yeah, just stand right there.
Do you have any metal ones?
We did, and we're supposed to get some. Frequency. Write it down. Another way to write frequency would be to say it's basically how many waves pass by per second. How many waves per second, okay? How many times per second does the wave pass a certain point? Okay? A source causes a vibration, and that's what starts a wave. That's what starts a wave propagating. Okay? Velocity is the speed of the wave, so how fast that wave is traveling. And waves travel through a medium, okay? Such as air or water or clay or earth. Okay? Most waves that we deal with have to travel through some kind of medium. Okay? That's something I said that's not on the slide. So you might want to get that in your brain. Okay? Most waves that we deal with have to travel through some type of medium. Okay? For them to actually happen, they have to travel through a medium. Like sound waves wouldn't happen if there was no air for them to travel through. It's like that weird question, like if a tree falls in the wood and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound?
No.
Yes, because there's air. But if a tree falls in a vacuum, then no sound happens because there's nothing else there to. What? If a tree falls in the woods and it hits a mime, does anyone hear it? A mime.
No one hears the mine, but you hear the tree.
Yeah. Like a lot of exclamation points. This needs to be in your notes. Because yesterday, when you watched the Bill Nye video and I asked, do all waves travel at the same speed? A lot of you said no. All waves travel at the speed of light. Because it's traveling through a medium.
Wait, if all
So it's traveling through air.
travel at the speed of light, then how can we see waves on the ocean?
Because those are ocean waves. They're just.
You said all
Yeah, but
waves.
those are still waves.
When I'm talking about, all right. When I'm talking about waves, we're talking about the 7 types of radiation waves, like on the electromagnetic spectrum. Not like this wave is not traveling at the speed of light. Okay? And like this wave that I made with the slinky is not traveling at the speed of light. Okay? The waves I'm talking about are the electromagnetic spectrum waves such as gamma, UV, radio, TV. Okay? And I'm going to add, because you guys are super smart, add a little like parentheses to this. All waves travel at the speed of light in a vacuum. Okay? So for example, you can slow the speed of sound or speed up the speed of sound if you inhale helium or nitrogen. Okay? You speed up sound with helium because it's a low density substance. Okay, and I can show you guys a little video of that. It is incredibly dangerous. I would be remiss if I didn't tell you it was incredibly dangerous, because when you're breathing helium or nitrogen or other gases, you're not breathing oxygen, so you're depriving your brain of oxygen. It's very dangerous. You're killing brain cells. It is definitely, well, nitrogen is. Helium is not. It's just, what you're doing is replacing oxygen with a different gas that you're not supposed to be breathing.
Hello, I'm Scott Manley, and today I'm breathing helium.
Hello, I'm Scott Manley, and today I'm breathing helium. Fly safe. Really, fly safe. I have no idea how long this is gonna last. I guess it's gonna keep being high-pitched until I run out of oxygen in my lungs, and then I'll pass out or something like that, or I'll have to take a breath and the air will mix in, and, you know, the speed of sound will drop back to normal, you see? You see, yeah, everything kind of comes back to normal once the speed of sound is restored, because helium has a higher speed of sound, and so the oscillations in the vocal cords go up and down way faster, and that is why helium makes you squeak a lot. Don't try this at home, because it really makes you lightheaded, tish. No, it really makes you lightheaded because what happens is you're basically you're displacing oxygen with helium, and your body isn't getting the oxygen it needs.
You don't have to write this down. This is level 2, knowing the term intensity and different parts of the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, it's a bunch of tense, and so it's if you're there, you're in tent city. Yeah. I did not make this slide or this joke, and so I left it in here to remind you guys. If you make jokes like this in class, puns, there's no such thing as a good pun. You're out of here. It's the same as malice.
Why do you not like puns so much?
How can you like puns?
They're so funny.
In Tent City? Really?
That's funny. That's like awesome.
Like the alpacalypse, things like that? Like
Oh, I
really?
love the alpaca.
It's so, Alright, time for doodling.
Yay!
Doodle that. Doodle that, alright. So like, make it go across the whole page, you know, just like the low frequency, gonna make them smaller and smaller.
What if you already remember this?
Okay, so if you are really curious about, do gamma rays make you Hulk out, write that down. We can talk about it at the end. Okay. In general, when you have a question, it's good to write it down so you don't interrupt the entire lecture. Okay? So, waves, as they relate to intensity. A really good definition to write down here would be intensity, the power transferred per unit area. So just a relationship for intensity. The people at the equator have a lot more solar energy. They feel a lot more intensity. Those waves are a lot more intense down there than they are for us because they're getting them more directly than we are. Okay? Next one, don't really care about that. Okay. Wow.
Whoa.
I know.
Words.
Lots of words. No, please don't. I think that would be crazy. I can like get a little printout for you guys and give it to you. What I like about this slide is that radio waves, like at the very left of the spectrum, like this, like a wavelength like that, is the size of a football field. Okay? Versus like a gamma ray on the other end of the spectrum is their wavelength is the size of like proton, neutron, or electrons. It's that size, so it's like little tiny. Okay. So let's talk about these. What I want you guys to write down is what the wave is that we're talking about, the naturally occurring version of it, and the man-made occurring version of it. Okay? Very simple. Okay? Astronomical objects, like asteroids and stuff, emit radio waves. Okay? Like, have you ever heard, like, you can listen to the stars because they're emitting radio waves. You can actually tell how old they are by the radio waves they're emitting. Okay? Really oldies, like 13.7 billion oldies. Years. Oh. Okay. Man-made cell phones, Wi-Fi, MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging machines, radar. Okay, those are fairly large waves. Okay, like what Bill Nye was saying, like probably the distance from me to the wall. Large wavelengths. Okay. Okay. The microwaves we use, the microwave ovens, like you know how they have the little holes so you can see the food cooking, but they're little kind of tiny holes. Those are made that small so that the waves can't get out while you're staring at them. Okay? Because it's not really good for you to be microwaved. Focus, people. Infrared waves, the next smallest. Okay. Half of the sun's radiation is infrared. So half of the sun's radiation that comes down to us, to Earth, we can't see. I don't know how much you guys know about greenhouse effect, but infrared is a lot of what's trapped in our atmosphere that makes the Earth warm and livable. Okay. Also, living bodies produce it. I don't know if any of you have seen Predator. It's a scary movie from the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. Okay, that Predator dude can see infrared. There are animals that can see infrared. Does anybody know one particular creature? No.
Bats.
No. Snakes. Yes.
Lizards.
Snakes can see infrared, so snakes can see that little mousey right there and eat it. Infrared is related to heat. Okay. It's like you're producing infrared waves just existing. Okay. We can't see it, obviously, but we can make objects. We can make machines that can see it for us. Okay. Okay, visible light, called visible light because it's what we can see. When that light is refracted and bent apart, we can see all the different colors of it. Okay, fireflies have bioluminescent. They emit visible light. Ultraviolet. So moving higher up in frequency and wavelength, sunlight is ultraviolet. Okay, it has different types of ultraviolet light, but it's still mostly ultraviolet. Okay. When I say it can disrupt living tissue, what that means is it causes cancer. Okay, and disrupting is you're messing with how it naturally functions. In general, too much sunlight causes skin cancer, and what that's doing is causing your cells to grow out of control. Okay, they lose their regulation of like when cells grow, they sense that another cell is next to them, and they're like, okay, we can stop growing. But cancer doesn't know to do that, so that's where you get like crazy moles and bad skin cancer and stuff. That's ultraviolet doesn't help that at all. But ultraviolet also reacts with stuff in your skin to make vitamin D, which is good for you. You need that, but you don't need a lot. You can just walking outside from east to west building is enough sunlight for you for the day. Like that's getting enough vitamin D. So you can just use a UV light, like a black light, to kill bacteria. Okay, that's what we do in like big science labs. We'll just put all of our stuff in UV light, and it kills most bacteria. There are types of creatures that can see ultraviolet light. Does anybody know? Sir? Yes. Some insects, most insects, can see ultraviolet. Okay, which is why the bug zapper works so well. X-rays. Okay, so we're approaching the end of the spectrum that's very dangerous. UV light is still like pretty good for you, like because you need it to make vitamin D, but too much of it causes skin cancer. X-rays really not good for you. They're good for us medically because we can. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that. Yeah. Medically, they're good for us because we can use them to shoot through. Okay. Now would be a good time to tell you that I didn't come up with these pictures. Okay. It's kind of like a chubby dude with a gun. It's airport security. Okay. So you use low amounts of X-rays in airport security because you don't actually want to go through skin and muscle to bone. You just want to see if they have like solid metal objects on them, like a gun. Okay. So you don't actually use powerful X-rays like you would here. Okay. This X-rays are why, like, your dentist goes into another room and pushes a button and covers you in lead, because they're really dangerous, and it's why you only get them once a year and not every day.
Why can't X-rays?
But they cover us with lead.
It's because of the density of lead versus the size of the waves, right? Lead is really dense, ladies. Lead is really dense, and X-rays have a high frequency, a short wavelength, and so they can't actually pass through lead because they have a short wavelength, right? It's like that's also why they can't pass through your bone, because your bone is pretty dense. Okay, last one, gamma rays. Naturally occurring in quasars, pulsars, and hypernova.
And what?
Hypernovas.
What's that?
It's a star blowing up. Okay, this part here, these light pulses here are gamma rays. Okay. Also radioactive decay. So when an atom, the nucleus of an atom breaks apart, it releases gamma rays. Okay. Chernobyl, like the Chernobyl and the 3 Mile Island explosions, people can't go within like 10, 50 miles of those places for another 50 to 100 years because the radiation, the radioactive decay that happened there was so intense. I don't have the exact dates. I was just reading about it the other day.
Don't they still have like tours of Chernobyl though?
I should hope not.
Dude, I think they do, but they haven't put on like suits.
Yeah, you would have to. It's why nuclear power plants have like lead upon steel upon lead, insulating the radioaction that's happening, the nuclear fission that's happening, because it's so incredibly dangerous. Those gamma rays are really tiny, so they can because they're the size of protons and neutrons, they can get into anything, right? They could get into your body and affect your DNA so that you Hulk out.
Nice. That would be so cool.
Or you would just die. More likely, I feel like you would just die. But certainly, if somebody wants to research that on their smartphone, you totally can. Whether or not gamma rays, excuse me, whether or not gamma rays can actually affect your DNA and not kill you, but change how you are. I think they would cause some serious mutations to your DNA, which would then probably cause you to die. Cool.
Electromagnetic spectrum is just a name of a range of radiation. Let me tell you what they are. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays. From the TV station to your living room, that is the work of radio waves. heating food in just seconds. Microwaves do that. Heat treatment for illness. Take pictures in the dark. They are even in your remote control. Infrared radiation, the electromagnetic spectrum is just a name of a range of radiation. Let me tell you what they are. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. That is the only part of the spectrum that can be seen by us. The suntan on your skin kill bacteria and viruses. Used to detect forgery. That is ultraviolet. The electromagnetic spectrum is just a name of a range of radiation. Let me tell you what they are. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays. See your broken bones and your hidden bombs. That is the work of X-rays. Kill cancer cells and sterilize. Dangerous gamma rays do that. Now we have completed the electromagnetic spectrum. If you still do not understand, then play the song again. The electromagnetic spectrum is just a name of a range of radiation. Let me tell you what they are. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays. Radio waves, microwaves, infrared radiation, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays.